Good morning and welcome to Life Connect. Just last week, my wife Sheila and I took a walk along a ridge that runs down the spine of what is called the Gower Peninsula. The hill is called Kevin Bryn. And some of the views that you get when you look down from that ridge are spectacular. And I guess in Wales we have a number of words that we use to describe such sights. Now, if you've watched Gavin and Stacey, of course, some of these may be familiar. But first of all, we may use the word stunning, or lush, or beautiful. Beautiful. That is a lovely word, isn't it? And we use it in so many connections. Just the day before, we'd sung a song in our church fellowship. The song went like this: "You are beautiful beyond description, too marvellous for words." And we were singing about Jesus. A number of years back, I read an article that suggested that because of the word beautiful or other words like that, some men found it hard to sing songs about Jesus using those words. And they preferred the older hymns, which had less intimate language. They were easier for men to sing. Jesus, calling him beautiful. That's an interesting thought and question as well. But what does the word beautiful mean to us? This week, today and on Friday, I want to reflect on this word beauty or beautiful. Sheila and I sat down together with a piece of paper and started to scribble down what different situations do we use the word beauty or beautiful for. And as I go through this morning, take time on the comments to jot down your ideas of why do we use the word beautiful. First of all, we use the word beautiful when we see something that is awe-inspiring or just catches your breath. It can be something out there in creation, for example. It's a sight that you see. It could be the sight of the sea or a view from a high place or the starry night at night. In Psalm 19, it has these words. David writes these words and he says, "The heavens declare the glory or the beauty of God. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge." A friend of mine put up on Facebook a picture that he'd taken himself through a telescope of a galaxy. Stunning, isn't it? Beautiful. Actually, that word in Hebrew which declares the glory of God or the beauty of God, it's the word kabod. It means profound, glorious. Or as the Message translation puts it, out there in creation, unspoken truth is spoken everywhere. No wonder Paul in the New Testament, writing to a group of Christians in Rome, writes these words: "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and his divine nature have been clearly seen and understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." And it's not just the big things we see, it's the small things that can be just as breathtaking. That look of a beautiful rose or a daffodil or the sight of light streaming through the trees. I remember a story of a young group of young people away in a conference, and the speaker had said to these young people, "Go out and enjoy God." They were lying down by the sea. And after a little while, a young lady came back and said to speaking, she said, "I really went down. I was really trying to pray, but the sun was so glorious and the wind in my hair and the spray of the sea." And he said to her, "I didn't ask you to go and pray. I asked you to go and enjoy God in his creation." See, what we say when we see a sight like that, or however it is, we say it's beautiful. But we see Jesus. Actually, I've only covered one sense. I mean, when you think of it, we can think of all these different senses that we use, not just sight, but the taste of strawberries, or chicken tikka balti with fresh coriander, or the sound of a skylark, or the smell of fresh cut grass, or the touch of the softness of silk or bubbles. But we see Jesus. Things we see, creation, the senses we use. What about words? We use that expression, those were beautiful words, you know. It says in the Bible that God's love, you can't grasp how wide or long or high his love is. Beautiful words. Or the line of the song, and it can be, the song "The Rose" is a favourite of mine, when it describes the pain of love. But then the last line says this: just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that when the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. It's a lovely word. Or a song that I've learned and heard sung recently about "So Will I" has a phrase like, "So you speak, God, and 100 billion galaxies are born." Or another line: every painted sky a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. Beautiful word. But we see Jesus. Or what about creativity? Sometimes we use the word beautiful when we see something that catches our attention. It could be a piece of fabric or art or a famous painting. I remember the story of Henry Nouwen, who, when seeing the beautiful painting by Rembrandt, The Return of the Prodigal, which was hangs in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, he stared at it for hours, captivated. Or Charlie Mackesy, who wrote the book The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, and his beautiful sculpture of the prodigal son, or the father and the prodigal son, or even that beautiful picture he painted of the prodigal daughter. Art, or an object of creativity. Beautiful, but we see Jesus. What about character? Sometimes we see someone, we see something in someone and we say that's beautiful. It could be humility or kindness. We love being with such people. We get really excited to meet them. And it's certainly not sometimes their looks or even their personality, but it's something attractive about them that is winsome, grace and gentleness. Beautiful. Mother Teresa, Desmond Tutu, Corrie ten Boom. Or maybe you've got friends that you say they're such beautiful people. But we see Jesus. All these things. What about atmosphere? Sometimes we go to a place or we leave a place and with a sigh we say, such a beautiful place, such a beautiful atmosphere. We used to say of Amy Carmichael, the missionary to India, that for many years, 19 years I believe, she was just lived in a bedroom. She was bedridden. People would leave and they would know and they would sense the amazing atmosphere of the love of Christ within that place. But we see Jesus. What about actions? Sometimes don't we describe some actions as beautiful? Many of us will never forget the moment or those pictures we saw of Princess Di when she first visited in the early 80s, those AIDS wards, and shook hands with an AIDS patient, and we saw a moment of beauty and grace. Or I don't know if you ever heard the story of that father who took his severely disabled son, on triathlons. And if you've ever seen that video called Team Hoyt, and we'd say, wow, that was beautiful, the love of a father. You see an action of sacrifice and love, and even the ultimate sacrifice that leaves you with tears in your eyes. And we may say that's tragic, but so beautiful. But we see Jesus. Senses, words, action, creativity, character, atmosphere. Perhaps we're in better shape to describe Jesus now as beautiful. Join me on Friday when we fix our eyes on Jesus.